All right, hey everyone. So welcome to another video, and this is the second part in our mental addition and subtraction video. So the second part to the one before this. And in the previous video, we talked about a strategy called partitioning, where we broke these numbers up into their digits, so their hundreds, tens, and ones, and that way it helped us to add and subtract a lot easier. Now, here we're going to do something slightly similar in the sense that we're going to be making these nice round numbers again to make our lives easier when we add or subtract. So today we're going to do something called compensating. This is our second and final strategy for adding and subtracting in our heads. So this involves making a number into a 10, 100, etc. So making it into a nice round number. And then we're going to adjust or compensate by adding or subtracting another number. So let me just get all this info down and we'll look at an example. So we have, and then adjusting or compensating. I'm just going to write comp here because I'm not bothered, by adding or subtracting. Or subtracting. Okay, cool. So let's look at a couple of examples. Let's just jump straight into it so I can show you what I mean by this. Let's fix that up. Okay, so example one, we're going to try to find what 46 plus 9 is. Now, this is a relatively simple example. We could use the number line idea that we talked about before, but what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make this 9 into a nice round number and then change it by compensating something to still make it so we haven't actually changed the number. I'm going to get a nice round number out of this, and then I'm going to make a compensation. Now, I'll show you what I mean. Now, what's a nice round number that's close to 9? Well, one that I can think of is 10. So what if we do 46, we find out what 46 plus 10 is, and then we can just subtract 1. So I've written this 9 in a slightly different way. I've written it like this, which allows me to add the 10. So adding 10 to 46 is a lot easier because we can just add these digits here. And then that's all I kind of have to do. So it's a nice round number that I can add to 46, but then I can't just have it as 46 plus 10 because I've essentially changed the value of this number, which I can't do. So this bit here, the subtracting the 1, that is the compensation. The compensation to get us back to the 9 in the first place. Because adding 10 means I'm adding a new number. So if I add 10 and subtract 1, that gives us the same effect of just adding 9. Now, if you look here, this becomes a lot easier to work through because 46 plus 10, what does that give me? That gives me 56, and I'm minusing 1 from that, which now gives me 55. So if I was doing this in my head, it would be a lot easier actually to just compensate. So to add 10 to 46 as opposed to 9 because it's a nice round number. So if we try another example, now I'm going to do one of the same ones we did in the previous video with partitioning, but I'm going to do this using my compensation here. So I'm going to, for my second example, find what 25 plus 19 is. So, once again, this number here that I'm adding, it's not a nice round number. So I want to break this up, and then, similar to partitioning, I'm going to round it up, but the compensation is going to be the minusing that I do, similar to what I had here. So, what's a number that's very close to 19 that's a round number? Well, one that I can think of is 20. Because doing 25 plus 20 is a lot easier than adding 19, because once again, I have a round number. I have a number that's really easy to add because I'm just going to add these numbers in the 10 digit. So once again, how do I make 19 from 20? This is where my compensation comes in. I need to compensate. I need to subtract a 1 here. So I haven't actually changed this 19. I've written it in a different way, as in I've written it like this, but I haven't changed the number. This 19 is the same as 20 minus 1. Let me actually write that down here. So these are the same. So we're kind of doing a little bit of mathematical manipulation here, but we're not actually violating anything mathematically, because the number stays the same, just it's written in a different form. So once I do this, I can add my 25 and 20, which is a relatively easy addition. When if I add the numbers in the tens column, I get 45, and then I minus 1 from that. And that gives me 44. Cool. All right, let's try maybe just one more, and then we will move on to our next topic in the following video. So let's just try one more example to get you used to this strategy. So if I did 35, plus 37. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing. I want to compensate. I want to change this to a round number and then add another mathematical operation so that I'm not changing the number 37. I want to create this into two numbers and an arithmetic thing. So for example, in our previous example, my 20 minus 1, that's an arithmetic expression. I'm minusing one number from the other. So I'm doing the exact same thing, the exact same thing here. I'm taking 35 and I'm adding it to the closest round number to 37, which is going to be 40. And because it's a really round number, again, we can just add the digits in the tens column here. Now, I'm not done yet because 40 is a different number to 37. So I want to make 37 from 40. The only way I can do that is if I minus 3. And then once again, you can see this and this are the same thing. I haven't actually changed a number here. That's the most important idea behind this compensation. I'm writing the number just in a different way that makes it easier for us to add or subtract. So once I have this, I can once again do a quite simple addition here. 35 plus 40, I'm adding the numbers in my tens column. 3 plus 4 gives me 7, and then I have 5 here. 75 minus 3, and then that's going to give us 72. So this is how we can work with compensation in terms of adding and subtracting mathematical expressions, doing our arithmetic, but doing this in our heads. Because at least in the year 7 syllabus in Australia, where I'm from, in year 7, we don't introduce students to calculators just yet. That starts in year 8. So we need a couple of nice strategies for actually performing these mental additions and subtractions, doing these in our head. So that brings us to the end of compensating. We looked at partitioning in the previous video. Hopefully these two can help you to do some of these trickier additions that you're doing for homework or out of your workbooks. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.